following Sanctum on Instagram for a few years now. So I always dreamt of coming to Sanctum. And just the philosophy always spoke to me. In general, the stories, the birth stories I've heard of my cousins, etc., they're all very scary. And the stories I've seen on Sanctum are just very different from what you usually hear. So I guess right then I knew that I would come to Sanctum. And then when I first came here for my pre-conception consultation with Vijaya ma'am, it was amazing. Like, I fell in love with the place. I loved how she spoke about it, how passionately she spoke about it, and yeah, I was very excited. That's how Sanctum happened.
Yeah, and also for me, knowing Harini, whatever I do, whatever somebody does, she likes it if you ask her before you do something. So for me, when I came to Sanctum, I knew that giving her the power of consent and upholding the dignity would happen here during the whole birth process. Even for things that she's semi-passionate about, she really likes it when somebody asks. I know how passionate she is about birth. So, having a place like this which will uphold her dignity and her sense of consent was something which was very important to me. And another thing I remember is when we came for our first consultation, I think the nurses and they're all running around laughing. And we didn't feel like it was a hospital, it just felt like a very fun place. And then I knew absolutely at that moment that this is the place for us.
And there's also one great thing that in the form they don't say patient's name,
yeah.
They say mommy's name.
Yeah.
And that is really nice. I'm not a patient, we're just pregnant, we're not patients here. So that really spoke to us also.
Yes.
The first visit was great. I was very excited that we are pregnant and meeting Vijaya ma'am, and so we kind of knew about the model of care already because we did our research pretty well. So the questions were, I really didn't have any questions.
Yeah, so I think the first time Harini wanted to get consulted, Sanctum said she was too early for a consultation. So I think 3 months or 4 months, when we were still planning for pregnancy, she came for her first consultation. And then once she got pregnant, even then immediately she called Sanctum. Sanctum said, still too early, I think you should just wait for 3 months. So yeah, within this time she had pretty much gone through the Instagram stories, she kind of understood. And then yeah, the first interaction with Vijaya ma'am was kind of how we imagined it. Very fun, like we spoke to a friend, very casual, free-flowing conversation. But obviously she came prepared with a big book of questions, but it felt very like free-flowing and a very fun conversation.
I would say our pregnancy progressed pretty well, and then I attended yoga classes by Sanjana. I really enjoyed them. And then towards the end, we attended Lama's classes with Megha. It was really, really informative. Yeah. So we took a lot of notes then that were handy till the very end. We got that little notebook with us to the labor room, and just hours before labor also we would quickly, look at our notes and clarify our doubts. So the classes were really useful for us, and whatever Sanctum had to offer in terms of these classes and the way they answered the questions, everything was really to point. Like, we did not have to look elsewhere for anything. So we were very, very happy with Sanctum throughout the 9 months.
Yeah, I think the preparedness during the 9 months really got us. I think the amount of preparedness they gave us, both from the consultations with ma'am or the kind of classes that she put us through, and even the classes were usually very information dense. They were not classes where we felt like any of our time was getting wasted. We were quite busy at that point, and every minute we felt like we were getting a lot of information. And with that information, when we actually entered birth, there were not many things we had as questions. We pretty much knew what was happening, and it felt like we were very in control of the process basically. Initially, especially to my mom or the moms, we had to give some explanation of exactly what is the philosophy or what is the kind of way the birth happens, and they were a little circumspect because they kind of want to fall back on the safe options or what they think is safe, which are the hospitals. But however, once we kind of told them why we were choosing this place, and especially with our dads, for example, when we said they're in favor of having minimal interventions, then the process was very easy. I think that is the ideology we all kind of agree with, and the ideology we agree is like keeping it as natural as possible and trusting the body. So that way we were lucky enough that our families kind of understood and they were more or less on board after a very small process where we had to kind of give them information more than anything else.
And when the parents came to visit after the baby was born, they were very surprised. So they didn't believe that, the labor happened here, right in this very room, and they were surprised to see me sitting all happily right after birth. I was not lying down, and I was not tired. I was very
no IV lines.
Yeah, no IV lines. I was very happy. I was almost jumping around and looking very fresh, looking very proud of myself. And so they were very surprised, very pleasantly surprised. They were very happy with the whole process. So our baby was born on the 22nd of April, but my water broke on the 16th of April. So, but as soon as the water broke, we messaged Vijaya ma'am, of course, but we also looked at our Lama's notes, and we knew at Sanctum they wait for 72 hours before they intervene. So we were happy. We would just come in every day to check if there is a risk of infection. So we had to keep checking every day. Baby was fine, I was fine. We were just waiting for labor to start, but it didn't start. So it was a different process where, of course, my parents were getting very tensed that water broke but the baby is still inside, that's something unheard of, right? As soon as the water breaks, they expect you to get out the baby immediately. So but we really trusted in Sanctum, and we know the philosophy here. So after 3 days we started with natural induction, and even then when I labor didn't start, we went for chemical induction, and after 1 day after that is when our baby was born. That was quite a process.
I think a couple of things that really stood out for me here was one, I think when to the earlier question of parents, Vijaya ma'am prepared us very early on that tell your parents that you are going to control the process, which is Harini in this case, and that they should not get worried that there's going to be a very good outcome, and they should not get worried over small things like water breaking, and then because once the questions start coming in either from your parents or from the other family, the pressure builds on us also. So having that preparation was good, because while the 3 days when her water broke and we were coming here, we were having a picnic almost. We were coming here, eating food, ordering juices, and we were having a really fun time, and that really helped. And the other philosophy that I think really stood out was Vijaya ma'am always deferring to Mother Nature, right? I think the thing she told us was, yes, your water broke, but I'm not going to feel the compulsion to make any interventions, because if the water broke and the baby is not coming out, it means the baby is not yet ready to come out, right? And she was really trusting in the natural process.
And at the end of each day, she would ask me, how are you feeling? Like, what should I do with you? What are you telling me? What is your baby telling us? And that's how we made decisions based on what my body was saying. And
and we really appreciate the philosophy or her stand of not interfering with the natural process unless there's a real need to. Again, it's not that she was not in control of the situation. She was always checking for infection. She made sure there was no infections. And even at the slightest chance of, when she saw that there's a chance of infection, that's when we went into the chemical induction, right? So she was actively in control of the process, but also letting Mother Nature control it.
Prenatal checkups were more of fun conversations, if you will. So, of course, I came with a list of questions on how to prepare my body, or if there was some slight inconvenience I was feeling, I would talk about that. But at the end of it, I would always feel confident and very assured that everything is progressing really well, and I felt very excited after each visit, and I felt like I was on top of things. That's how they made me feel, really. I would bounce back home. I remember that, and each conversation we would laugh so much, right? We would just go in there and laugh loudly because of all the smallest things. Like, we really enjoyed the process, and with Vijaya ma'am, having Vijaya ma'am throughout for the 9 months was a lot of fun. You definitely have to prepare a lot in terms of preparing your body, like maybe doing yoga, or just going for these small walks, which are anyway healthy for you. And then mental preparation is pretty big. So if you like reading the right books, or talking to the right people, having that right positive mindset, that is work, which is fun work that leads to happy labor. So what I also did was I had a vision board, and on that vision board I had kind of listed out how I wanted my pregnancy to go, how I wanted my labor to go, and then my postpartum period. And putting in that kind of work really helped us, and we strongly believe that's what helped us have such a great outcome, such a happy outcome. So yeah, some work is required, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so her vision board basically had a lot of positive affirmations, which basically said things like my pregnancy will be pain-free, my pregnancy will be fun, my pregnancy will go in a certain way, and a lot of positive affirmations, right? And so I think the work that we put in is a little bit, or she put in, was kind of mentally preparing for it, and being well prepared for the situation that was to come.
Yeah. And then talking a lot about it, like having scenarios. If I do this, you have to react this way. Yeah. So having a lot of conversation with the partner was also really essential.
Yeah, because once you're in birth, you cannot really think of all these things, right? So you should be, if you're prepared, it will make life much easier. And yeah, we'll probably come back and tell you something from our affirmations that came 100% true and which shocked like everyone here.
I got to experience what I always believed. Maybe I truly believe in the superpower and each body having a bit of the universe's power inside. So I got to experience it firsthand. Like I saw how much my body was capable of doing. It was amazing. Like just every single step of what my body was going through, I was able to feel, and just to see it happening was amazing. And to think back and imagine what all I did, I'm just very astounded at how much I did, and I really thank my body every day till now. Whenever I see my maybe some stretch marks or whatever, I really thank my body. I give myself a tap and say, "Great work, body," because my body did do a great work. Like it's amazing how much, how easily it surrendered, and how easily I was able to control my body in the whole birth process. And yeah, I guess I learned that my body can do anything. We were very close to begin with, of course, but I think just the raw nature of what we went through together really changes things. Yes. And then, I completely feel like we are one now, in a very raw sense. We belong together, and we went through a lot. So my husband supported me, and he was there for me at all times, at every single minute during the birth process. And it didn't feel like it was me alone birthing. I would always say we birthed together because we were in it together. And yeah, that's a magical experience for a couple to have.
Yeah. So I can speak from my point of view. I was a little, before I got married, I was a little afraid of the birth process, right? Of seeing such a, now I look back and I'm kind of confused why I was, but it's such an natural process. It kind of seemed scary to me. But to any husband, I would 100% recommend that is something you absolutely cannot miss. You have to be a part of, you have to experience it. And yes, I think that is what I keep telling Harini also, that it's also, Sanctum promotes couples to do this, but I also feel like a lot of couples who are really close and want to do this also choose Sanctum. So I think it's a beautiful thing. Whenever we see couples, we feel like they are very similar to us in a lot of ways. Yeah. So basically, what happened was we were here every single day. Right, her water broke. We were coming every day, leaving every day in the night. Again, come back day 2, leaving. So we were here for 4 days, and nobody was expecting that we would have a baby. We were like, okay, these people are here to stay. That was the kind of attitude they had, we also had. We were like, okay, we are going to be here out. And so that is when the medical induction was happening. We tried once in the morning on day 5, and then not much happened. And then in the evening, Vijay ma'am came and she kind of put the gel. And she said, we'll get some contractions, but it's induced by the gel. We'll come back tomorrow morning and apply. But Harini, like I said earlier, she had it in her vision that the baby would get delivered in the early hours of the day, and that she would wake up to sunrise with the baby. And so I was pretty convinced that the baby was coming out that day. But no, it didn't look like it, right? We were not even close, but I was convinced. So I started cleaning up this room. The room was messy. I cleaned up the room preparing for birth. And then when the gel started, the contractions kind of started. We weren't sure if it was induced contractions or if the body had picked up contractions from there. But after an hour or two, it became pretty evident that it was contractions. And then they said, okay, let's check for the heartbeat. And they started checking, like on the upper abdomen area, because that's where we were finding the heartbeat all through the whole day. There's no heartbeat. They're going down. There's no heartbeat. We're getting a little worried, right? Where is the heartbeat at that time when that pain? We were a little worried. And then they kept moving, and then they found the heartbeat very, 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 very low, almost near the lower abdomen, almost at the pelvis. And that is when the nurses got a big surprise, and they all kind of were scurrying and getting people in, and they're saying, okay, this the pregnancy is moving fast. And then by the time the midwife, the other midwife, Neelima, came and checked, kind of they wanted to see, then she said, I wanted to push. By the time we realized that, or the whole place realized that she was in labor, within a few minutes we could see the baby's head. Yeah, so it was pretty wild. And then Vijaya ma'am came in with her coffee, and literally she did nothing. And the brilliance of doing nothing is very understated. So she was just here looking at her. I remember she was right here. She was looking at her. I was right there. And for the longest time, she was just sipping her coffee.
Yeah, she was sipping her coffee, and she was just looking at me.
Yeah.
And I was looking at her, hoping to get some direction, or I was thinking, okay, maybe she would say something now. But she was like, you do your thing.
Yeah.
Just call me when the head descends more. And then she just left.
Yes, but she brought in a sense of calm with her.
Yeah, that really helped. Yes. After that, till then I was slightly clueless, because, we didn't know what was going on. And then we knew, okay, what I'm doing is what I should be doing. Yeah, so that really helped.
And I remember you asking Vijaya ma'am what you should be doing, and I remember her saying, you are doing completely fine, I don't need to tell you anything. So yeah, she was really letting Harini be in control of the process, really trusting her, but yeah, obviously there when we needed the support.
Yeah. Till this point I was in the squatting position, baby had really descended, and then I moved on to the bed, and I just pushed the baby out. Yeah,
yeah, about 7-8 pushes. And then literally we didn't even realize what was happening in that time. Time moved so quickly.
Yeah.
And within 7-8 pushes, the baby just came out.
Everyone asks me, right, was it painful? Oh, we hear it's so many bones getting broken and all that. It was not like that at all. So it was very immense. It was a lot to take, but it was not painful. It was not bad in any way. It was quite enjoyable, actually. I felt very in control. I didn't feel like something was happening to me, or I had to worry or anything. So I think there was a superpower which just kind of guided me through the whole thing. So right through the pregnancy, I've kind of been telling her that when you hear Amma sing, everything's okay. Because what we deeply discussed is how hard it is for the babies, because they are in a nice environment for the 9 months, happy, warm, everything's coming to them. Suddenly that safe haven kind of pushes them out with these contractions that are unknown to them. So we kind of envisioned that, and we kind of trained the baby saying, this will happen, but at the end of it, we'll be waiting for you. So we started saying those things to her in the last 2 months, and we also started singing I also started singing a few songs, so that she knows that, and she recognizes that everything is okay, everything's safe. So right when she was born, Harsha reminded me of these things, and so yeah, as soon as she came out, I sang 2 songs for her, and then within 15 seconds she had just stopped crying. She was listening very rapidly. Yeah, so that was beautiful for us. Kanne en kanmaniye, kannane kanvalarai, kanne en kanmaniye, kannane kanvalarai. மண்ணுலகில் என் வாழ்வு வளம் பெற வந்துதித்தாய். மண்ணுலகில் என் வாழ்வு வளம் பெற வந்துதித்தாய். கண்ணனே கண்வளராய் தாலேலோ தாலேலோ.
For the next 5, 10, 15 minutes, it just felt like it was me, Harini and the baby in the room. And there were at least 7, 8 other people in the room, but that is the kind of space they offered us, and that is the kind of value that, you know, Sanctum places on that moment when you first, you know, when the baby is born and you get to spend your first few moments with the baby. So one thing Harini did really well was to kind of focus on the baby. I think a lot of times when during the pregnancy process, we kind of think about how painful it is, as in it would be better if Harini said it, but I'm only speaking on her behalf of how painful it is or how difficult the process is. But Harini really focused her attention on the baby and how different it is for the baby, because she is completely coming to a new environment from the warmth of the womb, right? And placing that focus on the baby really helped us, you know, get our head straight on what the priorities were and what we must be thinking at the right times. And I think that was one of the game changers.
Even during the contractions, I did, you know, talk to my baby. I said, you know, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
You're coming out. It's okay. It's going to be beautiful outside. So we did spend that time to think about what the baby would be going through, and that helps right now also. Like when she's slightly cranky, the attention always goes to what she's going through, and that kind of trained us for postpartum also.
And the song is exactly that, right? Like making her feel familiar through the whole process. While she was in the womb, we kept singing that song, and when she came out to a whole new world, the song gave her the sense of familiarity. And I think, you know, that was really magical for us.
Postpartum care at Sanctum was amazing. I would like to tell you one very nice thing. So the Ayamma gave such a beautiful bath right after birth. Like it has to be mentioned, you know. Yeah. So such a nice warm bath. Like I don't remember ever being bathed like that. That was beautiful. I felt very cared for. I felt like, you know, I really deserved such a nice bath, and it was great. And we really appreciated the Ayamma quite a bit.
I remember right after labor, Harini went into the bathroom. I was still settling in, and then I could hear her giggling from inside the bathroom.
That's how comfortable.
That is how much she enjoyed the whole thing. Yeah. But really credit to the Ayamma. She really, you know, immediately within few minutes of the baby being born, the whole room was clean, and it felt like a new beginning the way she helped us out.
When I mentioned this, you know, hot bath to my sisters, what they say is, you know, after the baby is born, the hospitals just focus on the baby. It's all about the baby. The mother does not get that much care. But that's not how I felt at all. I felt very loved. I was very happy.